Welcome to People and Purpose, the podcast where we explore the values, insights, and commitments of purpose-led leaders shaping a positive future. I'm your host, Tarja Takko, and today's episode is something special. It's our final episode of the year, and I couldn't think of a better guest to help us close 2025 and look ahead to 2026 than Jenny Seder. Jenny brings a very special blend of experiences from driving global strategic HR and transformation in complex organizations to advancing humanitarian work at UNICEF to leading culture and leadership development in a fast-changing environment. One could say that Jenny is a voice of clarity in today's complexity, advocating for cultural velocity, youth empowerment, and human-centered leadership in an AI-driven world. In this special episode, we pause and reflect what defined leadership in 2025. How do we stay grounded in purpose and connection in the times of changes? And what must we carry forward into 2026 to lead with more courage and heart and to stay more solution-focused? Let's dive in. Jenny, warm welcome.
Thank you, Talia. Thank you so much. So nice to be here. Thank you.
Great to have you here. Hey, let's start with your journey. If you look back, what you have been defining, the defining moments that has shaped you as the leader, what are those moments?
That's an excellent question. It's a question that brought me to a lot of a moment of emotions, a moment of happiness, during my many years working for UNICEF. If I would have to select a defining moment is, many years back when I worked with this great leader at the UN Secretariat. And when he was departing for his next assignment, the team was really nervous about his being leaving and, without the leader to move forward with our, complex project. But he looked at me, said, "Sky is the limit, go for it." And then, that really gave me the level of confidence that, the leadership who I am today.
Wow, sky is the limit. That's a really, really nice way of looking at things and looking, I think, also future and looking forward. Mm-hmm. You have worked across different sectors, from corporate to humanitarian, and also across different geographies. What have these transitions taught you about purpose and leadership?
Talia, purpose isn't something you find. It's something you create in how you show up every day. Whether it was with the humanitarian sector or corporate world, we continue to define the purpose we have and how we show up, whether it was during a time of transition or downsizing. And sometimes leaders, we don't have a perfect answer. We can't just make a magic happens or create jobs for many people who are jobs being no longer, needed. But it's how we show up, how we extend our empathy, showing that I'm here with you together. And that is very, very important to me as a leader, or it's how I try to influence other leaders along the way.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. It's not only what we do, but it's how we treat people, how we show up, how we are there for the others. Really, really important. Hey, Jenny, was there a moment or a person early in your life who sparked your commitment to this, I would say, this human leadership?
Oh, yes. They were actually, I was very, very fortunate, work with many great leaders, but among them, they were this phenomenal leaders with a big heart, a big passion. That was a senior manager in my team. What I still remember till today, she's a very emotional person in a very professional way. She showed her care sincerely through her tears. So many moments that she, when there was a crisis in X countries or there was a staff has encountered difficulties, she would just pick a phone and personally call them. So, and when I monitor how she conveyed those questions, for example, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you? And then she started showing her emotion, that little vulnerability is what people need, especially in the HR world, as you and I work together, work in the sector, in the same way. Sometimes you're showing your vulnerability, that as if I hear your pain and I'm there for you. So working with a leader for many years, monitor how she show her emotions when there's a needed, and that really changed or shape who I am today. And so as I mentioned earlier, how you show up, how you're showing your vulnerability, how you showing your care in a very concrete and sincere way, and the people connect with you. People feel that. People feel that empathy, like organic empathy from her. And so she's one of those sort of inspiring leader that I have so fortunate to have worked with for many years.
Yeah, it sounds as an excellent leader, and you talked about care, and if somebody really cares about people, it shows in everything. And I think it was an excellent example that you just shared.
Thank you.
And it creates the connection, which is really
Absolutely.
important.
Yes.
But when you think about your leadership journey, your leadership evolution, is there something that you have also consciously unlearned, which I think is sometimes really equally important than what you are learning every day, what you are doing something more, but what you have left behind?
If when I heard a word say unlearned, and many times over the years I've learned to say no. Although it's
easy.
Yeah, and I learn how to subtract rather than adding it. At times I felt, I'm still practicing, Tanya, and learn to subtract, learn to simplify, learn to say no. It's actually give me the space to recharge, re-energize, reflect, and move forward again. So in a sense, my team will see the sort of the maturity, a different kind of maturity that the leader that they work with recognize that we need to take a break sometimes, we need to reflect and move on again. So there is something, I'm still working on it, rather than just keep going and keep going and keep going in this very, very complex and a busy world, and we just keep going. At times I say, why am I keep going? I need to step back and to reflect and to pause.
And that is so important, really, to pause, to reflect, and it is really difficult in this busy world. So I don't know if you have any personal tricks or tools how you manage to do it yourself.
I work with a lot with young people, especially the last year or two, and I think we mentioned earlier, how do I want to show up now? My focus is more on young people. How do I want to show up as a role model, sometimes more as a friend? When I feel that I'm talking to a 20-year-old, or actually I was working in a summer program and sort of practicing world leadership with a 12-year-old, and it was fantastic. And then there's something that I wish everyone have the opportunity to try, because coming from them are pure, energetic, innovative, sincere, organic, and it's just like I'm taking all that in while I'm working with the young minds, younger minds. And it's just fantastic. I feel like every leader, especially the senior leader, and that's why UNICEF, we kind of pilot reverse mentorship program, for example. We want to encourage a senior leader, work with a young employee, and then to learn from them. And they used to laugh with me and say, oh yeah, we felt so much younger from the heart to the mind when we work with young people, and they influence each other. And I think that's a fantastic experience.
It's so inspirational. And you mentioned the reverse mentoring. It's also something that I have been introducing to an organization, and there were some hesitations in the beginning that how can we shift the roles, but as you also said, I think everybody were really finding that experience inspirational and refreshing. So really hearing those views from the younger generation. What are you, if you were to summarize, what are you hearing from younger generations?
The younger generations, it depends, culturally they are different from one region to the other, but the young UNICEF young employees that come from all parts of the world, they want to be counted in. They often, telling us that, wherever the capacity they're doing now, especially when the organization has some level of hierarchy or authority, and then sometimes they feel that they're not counted in as if they could be the co-creator of the project. They could be somebody who bring tremendous contribution. So my message to the senior leader always, let them in. Let them in, and we could learn so much from the young people. So they want a voice to be heard. They want to be counted in, and they are staying committed to implementing the change. So I feel that world needs to really open our mind and our heart and will to let young people in, because that's how I work with the young people or with my daughter, because I feel that if we are co-create together cross generation, and the impact is going to be huge. Whether it's in organization or in the family setting or in the university, but bring them in as how you want it to be when you were younger.
Bring them in and give them the voice. I think that's really nicely summarized. But if you were to also reflect a little bit the leadership that the younger generation really wants, how would you define it compared to maybe the traditional models?
Oh, wow. Okay. They are all about action oriented. They may not be a sophisticated thinker, right? Like the senior leader might say, let's looking at plan A, and then sometimes they want a plan B, but before they move to plan C, and they lose time to implementing, right? But the young people, they're fresh out of college, many of them, they're all about taking the action. I love that energy, and I think they probably want the world to align with them to say, let's make this happen. So they don't want to just hear about all the plans and the concept, paper or the approval process. They just wanted to make it happen. And then we can balance the both sometimes, it depends on the culture of the organization, I guess. And they want action-oriented leadership. They want a leader to listen to their voice. And I think innovation is another thing. They're all about creativity. Young people bring great ideas, so they will work so well in a culture that embrace creativity, embrace innovation. And then the leader with the innovative mindset is kind of leader they will work with very well.
That sounds good. And innovation is new ideas is definitely something I think we all need, and I think it's something that here in Finland it's desperately needed. Hey, I think it's a good time to pause a little bit and reflect with you 2025. What stood out to you in the way leaders, I don't know if you can summarize what stood out, how leaders showed up this year?
2025.
Yeah.
So from where I am, the UN organization, we have gone through massive transition, massive transformation and change. I have to say there were a sense of fatigue, especially during the countries who were going through massive change from people from different level, including the leadership, because it's a really a tough time. When you have to downsize in an office for up to 20% of employees. So I have sensed a sense of fatigue from the leaders, and I've sensed a little bit of the loneliness also, because when you are leading a really difficult transition, right? Because you're becoming overnight an unpopular leader. And many times, employees or staff express their dissatisfaction towards the management, etc. So they, during the tough time like this, and I I was hoping I will witness a lot of resilience from the leader and compassion, resilience and compassion at the same time, because they have a transition to accomplish, but they also have to see every number behind every number. There is a human face when they're going through the transition process. So it's been quite challenging.
And I think in the transition, it's exactly what you talked about, how you show up, how you lead the transition, how you lead the transformation, even when it's very difficult decisions. And as you said, behind every number, there is a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, can you say what are some of the core values that have been guiding you within this transformation and this, the year of 2025? And is there something that you had to let go?
Oh yeah, this is a very insightful question, Tali. Thank you. Core values guiding me. Again, I'm a empathetic leader. I think I feel, when you work in this field of HR, H stands for human. So I want to aspire to become a human leader, and that's how I influence my other leaders around me. So the core value stays, when no matter how much transitional change process we're going through. Again, as I said, behind every number there's a human face, but it's very difficult to practice sometimes when you have a tall order to cut 20%. That numbers matter a lot to the financial side of the business. And how do me as a person and as a leader and some different capacity to still show up with empathy, and I live by for it, because every conversation we had with our staff, it means a lot to them when they feel someone is listening. When they feel that although their job is no longer required, but they value their contribution is recognized. So I always, even if we have to exit some staff, I always want to contribute my part to make them leave with dignity, make them to, once they move on to the next chapter of their career, I want them to remember UNICEF. It was a caring place that they have worked for the last 15 years, rather than, hey, you know what, I can't wait to leave this organization because they don't treat me as a human, So I try my best to managing to really embrace, recognize every single member's contribution. And I live by that core principle, the empathetic way to managing transition. We call it a human-centered way of managing transition. And I think it's fundamentally important to me, and how I hope leaders around the world will continue practice. And the good news is, in my organization, we have a lot of human leaders, whether they're working in a very difficult, challenging country office, or going through the transition as we talked about, but they stood tall and they tell their people, it's got to be okay, we're in this together, and your value really matters to our organization. So
I love how you are talking about it, because I think that's the core of HR. As you said, H stands for human. And I love how you're saying that you have actually quite a lot of leaders that have that human-centered leadership and the right way of treating people.
Absolutely.
Hey, if we talk a little bit about AI and maybe the concerns around it, there is a lot of talk now on AI, and it's definitely going to be transforming how we work. But what would you say that it does not replace?
So this is a great question to kind of link back to what we talked about. What AI doesn't replace is the human element, Tarja. It's that it's that picking up the call to to sort of talk to your staff who are going through a difficult time. Are you okay? Right? I don't think AI can replace that. AI might force us to focus on what actually matters in leadership. I think it's deeply human things we've always known were important, but deprioritized because we were too busy with tasks AI can now handle. So I think a leader needs to be very conscious about not to let AI replace that human emotions, that human empathy, right? And actually, frankly, to be honest with you, what scares me is that organizations might use AI as an excuse to avoid hard work of a human leadership. I hope not, because that human leadership stays even in AI stage. So I think it's important. So it's the emotional intelligence. It's the building genuine relationship with your member of your organization. It's the moral courage to make the decisions that AI can't make, that cannot be replaced.
Yeah, and creating those connections.
Yeah.
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 Well, is there something that excites you most of AI, about AI?
Well, simplify the process, really saving us incredible amount of time to focus on the core things. Is, and I don't know what's your view on the topic of human connections, right? If AI can replace a lot of redundant work, and then we will have a lot more time to connect again, human to human.
Yeah, what matters the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fully agree.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say if there are any leadership qualities that will be sort of non-negotiable in the age of AI.
The non-negotiable, quality, I think in the age of AI is still have to maybe recognize the value of a human. This is a little bit of a sort of like a twofold meaning, like the human capability versus AI, right? I feel as a leader, just show your vulnerability and so honest about what you don't know, a willingness to make them to admit, and it's for me it's non-negotiable skills that we need to continue to carry on in the AI phase, and it's got to be a massive transition for all of us, including myself, as we move along.
Yeah, but thinking it positively, there's a lot that we can utilize and take the most of it, but still remembering that the human is in the core and the connections is something that is needed. You've spoken also about cultural velocity. How do you define it?
So to me, and I mean, there is many different ways. To me, cultural velocity is the speed at which culture is changing. In society, in the workplace, or in how people think about work and what they are willing to tolerate from the organizations, right? So societal culture is moving faster than organizational culture. And, people's expectations are shifting rapidly about flexibility, purpose, and how they want to be led. So every day we're going through a culture shift, the depths of deferred gratification in careers. People used to wait and to pay your dues and get reward later, but that's over. That culture is over. If you can't articulate why someone's work matters now and how they are growing now, you will lose them. You will lose the talent. So it's a constant change. It's constant adapt to the shift that's happening around. So yeah, that's my version of culture velocity, and this is something also maybe as part of the culture intelligence that I'm also mindfully embrace that in the work I do, especially in international organization. The culture intelligence is one of the key important integrate as part of the integrated intelligence that I'm working with many leaders and also try to educate the young people to embrace that.
Yeah. And the culture is really, really important, but it's still something that it doesn't change easily. It's not changed overnight. So I don't know how organizations can keep up with these cultural shifts without losing their positive core.
Mm. It is the most difficult piece, and I think in the HR world, sometimes we don't want to talk about the culture because it's just so hard to shift it, and then that links to the mindsets, right? It's all about
Mm,
mindsets. But maybe Tarja, one way, after many discussion with many colleagues around this topic, we might see some hope when we have an organizational senior leader leading the way, modeling, you know,
mm, mm,
the kind of the leadership or kind of the new culture that organization aspire to have. It
mm,
starts from the top. For example, to give you very quick story, we often heard some senior leaders when you're managing a workforce of over 500 people, you probably don't have time to recognize everybody's name, but we do
mm,
have few leaders, believe it or not, working in a very complex emergency countries, but they know the names of their employee by
mm,
heart. And
mm,
that role modeling is
mm,
phenomenally important to shift the culture so that his management team will do
mm,
the same to recognize the value of the individual employee in their respective team and the kind of like having the ripple action.
mm,
So I think it starts with the top if you
mm,
want to change any behavior or any culture, but that leadership has to be really committed organically, want to
mm,
see the change for the organization,
mm.
but not easy to shift
Yeah,
culture, as you know.
yeah. But that's an excellent example that everything starts from the top,
Yep,
and yeah, leading by example, walking the talk. That
yep.
is something that then has the positive impact and the ripple impact
Hmm.
in the organization.
Absolutely.
Mm. Is there any cultural shift that you think leaders are still underestimating?
Mm. Um, well, maybe back on the topic AI. How a leader is going to lead the culture of the team in the time of AI. I think that whether it's a mid-level manager or senior leader, they not only will have to lead the team, also have to lead the team to be able to adapt AI. And then, I mean, what I mean by adapt doesn't mean AI, they will recognize AI will be replacing everything, but even
Mm,
appreciate more of the human value, you know? So that takes a little bit of a new kind of leadership. The one is forward looking, embrace the new technology, have innovative mindset, but also, once again, recognize the human value in their
mm,
respective team.
mm. Yeah,
Yeah. It,
yeah.
mhm.
Jenny, I love how you also talk about leading with the bigger heart. Uh, I don't know, we have been, of course, touching upon this already, but
Mhm.
what does it mean to you to lead with heart in a time, if we are also now focusing in the times of complexity and
Mm.
crisis?
Yeah. So this is a $1 million question, Taya. This is a topic. Many of us, including you, I believe, we practice, we influence our leaders in organization, leading with a bigger
Mm,
heart.
mm,
Leading with a bigger heart brought me back to scenarios that, as I mentioned, when organization or ex-country office in UNICEF going through massive change, and that leaders show up with empathy, with "I hear you, I'm here for you," organically, sincerely, coming from their heart. Because during that moment, that leader truly recognized the value. He or she is not just talking because it sounds good. It's coming from their heart, and
mm,
coming from their heart. I think it's through that moment they actually saying to the staff member, "I know times are tough that we have to cut budget. You are among those positions we'll let go, but I wish you the very best. If anything I can help you, because you're fantastic, you have made amazing contribution for this organization. I know you're gonna make the next big thing
mm,
even bigger." So you instill that level of confidence in that individual, and
mm,
so he or she would take that piece with them.
Yeah.
So never give up on anyone, through that leader's lens. So that's a big heart too, because it's how you believe people, how you organically support that individual, even that staff member will leaving the organization, move on to the next chapter. And the bigger heart also about empathy, as you know, the behind the number, there's a human face. It takes a leader with a bigger heart to recognize that. It's not easy. When you talk about 20% cut down of a few thousand staff, if you still remember their face or the family of that employee, and that's leading with a bigger heart. So human-centered leadership, our leader with a bigger heart. And also, the last thing I want to mention is leading with a bigger heart. Also, the health of the individual is aligned or support the health of the organization, and that is a bigger heart too. Leader who really truly care about the result of organization, they equally care about the people, because these two are linked.
I really like how you say that, because it's what I'm always saying is that if you treat people well, if you have the human-centered leadership, you will get the results.
Yep.
Hey Jenny, let's look ahead to 2026 and beyond. If we sat down again in 1 year, what would you have? What would you hope we are celebrating in leadership?
Great question. Not easy. I hope, if we looking back, I hope for some organization, such as a really large bureaucratic organization, we can say, you know what, looking back, we finally stopped just administering policies, we finally start building organizational capacity and caring for change. These are the results I would love to reflect on, rather than we're just, HR community just play the role as implementing party, implementing or complying with a policy, because I know it gets really heavy sometimes. So what I'm hoping to see is moving from compliance to strategic workforce development, having hard conversation with the business leaders about talent gaps, succession risk, cultural issues, and not just reporting matrix. So these are what I hope to see.
Yeah, so focusing more on this strategic
element
or strategic HR.
Yeah.
And maybe you already answered, but I wanted to also ask you, how should HR evolve when looking ahead to 2026? But I think you summarized that already quite well.
I don't know if all HR will agree with me, but I think HR, especially HR leaders, need to be comfortable with ambiguity. The old model with the standardization, consistency, probably is no longer useful. The new HR, and I call it HR 3.0, believe it or not, because I think I mentioned to you, next Thursday I'll be presenting at Madrid in one of the UN conference, talking about HR 3.0. It's the new model that requires human-centered approach, customization and adaptation. So this might be a little bit uncomfortable for some level HR, for who are used to building the function around policies. So that's a little bit of uncomfortableness, that's stepping out of it. But also HR, I hope we will get better at saying no also. No to, not to people, but no to initiatives that burn people out. And then no to unrealistic expectations, and no to the leaders who want HR just to fix people problems, to move them, to move them away, to move the people problem away. And there are actually leadership problems, not people problems. So that takes courage for HR to say no.
So is it right to summarize that they would become more business partners? So it's the partner role where you can say no, where you really can drive actions that has an impact, where you really are around the same table, focusing on the business critical matters.
Yeah. It's a different way of influencing leaders that when you look at the numbers, yes, it's important for your business bottom line, but without the people, you got no bottom line.
Yeah.
And we are constantly balancing the both. And it's a way to influence them to focus on the people, because sometimes the blind side can get in their way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more question on 2026. What do you hope people and purpose-driven leaders carry into 2026?
Maybe, well, okay. So purpose-driven leaders, it's a good news for the organization because they're focusing on people and purpose, and which is this great podcast that you are leading it. But also courage, right? Courage, maybe that brings from 2025 the massive change. Continue to be the courageous leader. Sometimes they have to make the difficult calls. Sometimes they also have to admit it. Hey, you know what? It's not working. And then they need to have the courage to let go of that ego. And when you let go of that ego, and then you stay humble and human, and that's not easy for everyone. Courageous leadership.
Yeah. Maybe that's the one. And now we are moving into quick fire chat. So asking these sort of quick questions. And there is a question, what is the word that you want to bring into 2026? Maybe it's the courageous leadership.
Yep.
I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I think it
sounds like it is a courageous, because I've witnessed a lot of leaders, as I mentioned very earlier, the conversation in 2025 or started 24, leaders going through massive change themselves, and they become very fatigued, and they're testing their resilience sometimes. So I would like to see them to be courageous leader, to continue to stay human. To be courageous is to, despite what's happening, you stay to be humble, stay to be human, because that's what you believe, that's where your principles. Maybe not easy for everyone, but that's what I'm practicing.
Sounds excellent. What is human leadership in one sentence?
Well, it's hard to be one sentence. I'm going to try. The human leaders, the leaders leading in a way, they constantly acknowledge people are the whole human beings. They never separate them. People are the whole human beings, and they are not just resources to optimize. They're, and they're making that tough decision accordingly when they recognize that.
I love that whole. Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
And we talked about cultural velocity. Can you define that in one sentence?
Yeah, it's the speed. It's the speed the world is changing, and then the gap between that change and how fast organizations are willing to change to adapt the speed.
Yeah, so it's really all around the speed.
Around the speed, adaptation, and people focused, right? Because that's the core. Yeah. While we're adapting, we have to have the human-centered approach, keeping in mind. So it's almost like a symphony of, while we adapting the organizational change, and we could be HR community, we could be the leader for the organization. We have to kind of keep our core principle, human front, human centered. However, we change, to adapt.
Yeah. Is there a book that has shaped your thinking, maybe this year, or I don't know, throughout your career?
So the book that I love when you ask the questions, because a book can change lives. So there was one book changed my life when I was doing my PhD. It's called Theory U. The author was Dr. Otto Schermer from MIT Institute, senior lecturer from MIT Institute. What really sort of transformed me, that book was a management book, but it touched on politics, economics, and also a lot of human-centered approach about the people, society, the purpose, an organization, and also put the innovation at the center of that discussion, so that it helps us to juggle, balance, moving, adapt to change at the speed that world is moving. Also, to never lose the human-centered approach to put the people in front. It's a fantastic book. It's called Theory U. The U is opening the will, opening the heart, opening your mind. So the heart, the mind, the will is the center of everything. And then if anyone is interested to read that book, I will just kind of give the person 2 cents. It's got to be very difficult to read. It's a book hard to read, but once you embrace some of the concept, it's a lifetime transformation. So I do recognize a lot of young people to read about it. Yeah.
Sounds very, very interesting.
Thank you.
Jenny, is there a message that you would share with your 25-year-old self?
Oh, 25 old self. You mean myself, right?
Yourself when you were 25 years old.
Well, there were many messages, but if I have just one important message is be patient. When I was 25, just like any other 25, I just want to go through the world, I mean, when you started your career, and then you just want to prove to the world you're worth it. But be patient, meaning let the impact to prove you're worth it. The impact there, that when you starting 25, when you start building, to change those around you, to change, not say changing the world entirely, but to change the community, to change the lives of those around you, that you accumulate, so you start building up, and that's the impact that will define who you are. So be patient, because that takes lifetime to build up. I wish I knew then, but I grow.
Yeah.
And
I love how that also connects how you talked about the youth in the beginning, that they are very action oriented. They want to see things happen, and they want to get things done. And now maybe you would also say to them that sometimes it's good to be patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And intentional. That word has been has been a word for me for 2025. Intentional.
Hey, final question. What gives you hope right now?
It's the people again, Talia. The hope that when you talk to your employee or staff, you still, despite how difficult, you still see that optimism and positivity showing their face, and then that moment, we can do it together. So that's the hope that we, no matter what, the human has the human capability to stay positive, to change things, to change the world. And also youth give me hope. But maybe just because I've been working with youth lately, just incredible to see someone just came to you, say, hey, I have this project, I want to change a girl's life in one of the islands where I come from. And that gives me a lot of hope, because young people are impact driven and social conscious. So that's the hope for me.
Yeah, we can do it together and be impact driven.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jenny. What a powerful way to close our 2025 season on People and Purpose.
Thank you. This podcast, it's such a pleasure to be, and I'm really grateful, Tarja, for the opportunity. And we look forward to build a year of 2026 together with a lot of hope and impact. And
exactly, you said it, and that's what I also want to say to all listeners. Happy 2026. Take care and keep driving positive change and leading with the future in mind. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.